involved in the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, has just been arrested. He's accused of placing bets on that operation, bets that won him $400,000. I want to bring in CNN's Kara Scannell and CNN's John Miller. And Kara, you were...
Imagine being part of a top-secret mission to capture a world leader and deciding to bet $400,000 on yourself. This Special Forces soldier just got caught in the ultimate insider trading scandal, and the DOJ is throwing the book at him. You won't believe how he did it.
Kidnapping, extortion, drug trafficking, illegal gambling, and even murder. Federal agents seizing nearly 120 pounds of meth, 9 pounds of fentanyl, more than 6 pounds of coke, 2 pounds of heroin, along with 25 firearms and more than 30 grand in cash. FBI having raids take place in both L.A. and Orange counties in what federal officials call, Sean, Operation Gangsters Paradise. The accused, all believed to be a part of this gang called...
Look at the sheer volume of what the FBI just pulled off the streets. We're talking 120 pounds of meth and 9 pounds of fentanyl. But did you catch the names? They're calling this Operation Gangsters Paradise. What's wild here is that these guys, sporting nicknames like Kool-Aid and Diablo, aren't just street thugs. They're part of what's known as the Gang of Gangs. Even though the Mexican Mafia is a prison-based organization, their reach on the outside is terrifying. They basically tax every other Latino gang in Southern California. If you don't pay your taxes to the big bosses behind bars, you don't operate. It's a sophisticated corporate structure, just with more kidnapping and extortion. Seeing the SWAT teams move in at 6 a.m. is a massive win, but it makes you realize how deep this rabbit hole goes. These guys were operating under the radar for years, right in Orange County and LA. It's a huge wake-up call for how these prison gangs are actually running the show on the streets.
Last month that this trade was under investigation. What do we know about this arrest?
This member was arrested today. What we know from the indictment is that he is an active military member. He was involved in the planning and execution of the capture of Nicolas Maduro. And according to authorities, he traded based on classified information that he knew about the raid. And here's what we know about the timing of these trades. He made these trades on Polymarket, one of those prediction markets, where he placed a bet that Maduro would be out of Venezuela by the end of January. These bets he started placing on December 27th, and he made them up until January 2nd. That U.S. capture happened in the early morning of January 3rd. So that paid out huge. His initial bets totaled about $32,000. He made more than $400,000 in profits. Now, this is the first criminal case that has been brought involving prediction markets. It involves these allegations of insider trading and misuse of government information for one's personal gain. He is facing 5 charges. According to authorities, he will be presented before a judge in North Carolina, where he is based. And then he will come to New York to ultimately face these charges. We don't know who his lawyer is, and he's in custody, so we haven't been able to reach him for...
This is where the story gets absolutely insane. This soldier wasn't just guessing. He was using classified information about the raid's timing. He placed his bets on Polymarket, a crypto-based prediction site, just days before the operation went down. He started with about $32,000 and walked away with over $400,000 in profit. But here is the rookie mistake. He tried to move that money to a foreign crypto wallet and then asked Polymarket to delete his trade history once it started getting heat. Wait, did you catch that? He actually thought a public blockchain-based market would just delete his trail. It's the first ever criminal case involving insider trading on a prediction market. It's like something out of a spy movie, except the main character forgot that the FBI is literally paid to track digital breadcrumbs. Now he's facing 60 years. Talk about a high-stakes gamble that backfired in the worst way possible.
No, you also wanted to talk about, the insider trading ban and also Polymarket. Let's go ahead and have this conversation. A story just came out before the show came on about one of the guys they sent in to grab Maduro out of Venezuela actually bet on that and made $400,000, and the DOJ has now arrested him. One of the guys that went into Venezuela to do that operation back in December.
Yeah, so again, the reason I wanted to talk about that is because here you have an example of the DOJ saying, you know, this is not fair. We're going to go and we're going to throw the book at this guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying what he did is right. However, every single day in Congress, you have multiple members of Congress that are engaging in insider trading. We had an actual ban on this that we pressured leadership to bring to the floor, and we're going to get a vote on it. But Hakeem Jeffries, okay, went and told the Democrats not to support this ban, and we were receiving own pressure from our own leadership on pushing this forward. And yet you have a member who went on this raid, which, by the way, our military members don't get paid a lot. But the member that goes on this raid places a bet, and yet he's facing, I think, up to 50 or 60 years in prison. So there is no double standard of justice, or there is no fair justice in this country if you have members of Congress getting away with it, and this guy doing it every day. So on an unpopular take, I'm going to be asking for him to be pardoned. I'm going to ask that he they disgorge his profits, and that he basically go back to the military, because at the end of the day, again, we have proof of this happening every day. Nancy Pelosi made 17,000% returns on her stock investments.
Yeah,
she's not going to jail.
I totally.
Now, Anna Paulina Luna is making a point that is honestly hard to argue with, regardless of where you stand. She's pointing out the massive double standard here. While this soldier is facing a lifetime in prison for his $400,000 win, she's highlighting that members of Congress are doing almost the exact same thing every single day with the stock market. Look at the numbers she's dropping. She mentions Nancy Pelosi getting 17,000% returns on certain investments. The irony is thick. The DOJ is throwing the book at a guy who went on a dangerous raid, yet leadership is allegedly pressuring members to block bans on their own insider trading. It's that expert friend reality check. Why is it a felony for a soldier, but business as usual for a politician? Luna is even suggesting a pardon for the guy because the system itself feels rigged. It really makes you question who the real insiders are in this game.
Which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million. This pied-à-terre tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich.
The city rolled out the ad referencing Governor Hochul's plans for a pied-à-terre tax.
Check out this penthouse, $238 million. Mayor Mamdani used this exact building as the villain in his campaign ad to push a new tax on the super wealthy. But here's the twist. It totally backfired. The target of his ad, Ken Griffin of Citadel, didn't just sit back. His company sent out a memo basically saying, "We paid over $2 billion in taxes and created 15,000 jobs, and you're treating us like this?" Now there's a real threat that Citadel might pull out of a multi-billion-dollar redevelopment project in Midtown. This is the ultimate be careful what you wish for scenario. If you attack the biggest taxpayers in the city for social media clout, don't be surprised when they take their billions to Florida or Texas. You can see the demonstrators getting arrested in the lobby, but the real damage is happening in the boardrooms where the jobs are actually created.
Last Friday, investors bet $760 million that oil prices would drop. 20 minutes later, Iran's foreign minister said the Strait of Hormuz would reopen. After the post, oil futures fell 11%. And earlier this month, less than 3 hours before President Trump announced on Truth Social a U.S. ceasefire with Iran, traders had bet $950 million that oil prices would fall. That bet paid off as well. Oil futures fell 15% after the post. There are no obvious ties between the trades and White House officials. And a White House spokesman told CNN any implication that administration officials are violating the law is, quote, baseless and irresponsible.
Did you see those numbers? $950 million bet on oil prices falling. And then, boom. 3 hours later, a ceasefire is announced and prices tank. That is a level of coincidence that just doesn't happen in the real world without a tip-off. This sequence shows exactly how the big players operate. While the general public is waiting for news alerts, someone with $1 billion is already positioned to profit. The White House says any implication of illegal activity is baseless. But when you see a 15% drop in futures immediately following a specific post, the math starts to look a lot like insider info. It's the same pattern we saw with the soldier, just on a global billion-dollar scale. This is why people feel like the market is a casino where the house always knows the next card. This world is getting crazier by the second. Which of these scandals was the most shocking to you? Drop a comment below and don't forget to follow for more surgical breakdowns.